It's Platt, and today we try a lager from Peru. That's next to Platt's Beer of the Week. So the particular beer we have today is Cusquena Golden Lager. Like I said, it comes to us from Peru. I'm pretty certain that we've never had a beer from Peru before, so this is a first. A little background on Cusquena. Cusquena is actually, we'll start off with a parent company called Bacchus and Johnston. Brewing was founded in 1879 in Lima, Peru by Jacob Bacchus, two Americans, Jacob Bacchus and John Johnston. Like I said, they founded it in Lima, Peru. In 1889, they incorporated the company actually in London. They did this as a way to better secure financing, raise money, or whatever. You know, back in the 1800s, there's probably still people referring to South America as the New World. So, yeah, probably worked out a little bit that way. They stayed a British corporation all the way up to 1954 before they finally moved the company headquarters and just as far as the financial paperwork to Peru. They spent a period of time from 2005 to 2016 as part of the S.A.B. Miller portfolio of brands that was Miller, pre-Miller Coors, Molson, whatever they are today. Today, Cusquena and their parent company, Bacchus and Johnson, are part of AB InBev, so they're part of an even bigger corporate conglomerate. They are definitely playing with the big boys. Now, the history of Cusquena, the beer brand and the brewery, goes all the way back to 1908 when it was founded in the city of Cusco by a gentleman named Ernesto Gunther. The original brewery was known as the German Brewery Gunther and Tidal Limited. I believe Tidal was a fellow investor, what have you. They had already been running breweries in Peru for 10 years, so they had kind of a head start in other areas of Peru. One of the things they lucked out, though, and Peruvian brewers just in general lucked out, is through most of South America and Central America, there wasn't a beer culture. In Mexico, the indigenous people were drinking something called pulque, which was basically like an agave wine. Peru, though, the indigenous people drank something called chicha, which is basically a corn beer. I believe Dogfish had made one of these or a variation of this a while back. So at least the culture, the local culture, was at least more open to beer or whatever. So, you know, because part of the deal back then in South America and Mexico or whatever was it was generally Westerners either from America or Western Europe moving in, and they wanted to have their old beer, so they created breweries there, but it was for basically American and European expats. Again, Peru is a little different because of that culture. Interesting enough. In 1995, the company finally went nationwide. They weren't even in all of Peru. They spent most of the time in southern Peru, and it went until an expansion in 95 that they were, you know, selling their beer just throughout the nation. Now, as we said earlier, Cusquena finally sold out to Bacchus and Johnson in 2000, and Bacchus and Johnson is the largest beer brewing conglomerate in Peru today. Cusquena did have an interesting incident happen to them in 2000. They were filming a beer commercial at Machu Picchu, the venerable archaeological site there in Peru, and apparently a camera train crashed and did damage to one of the artifacts, and they ended up getting sued by the country and having to settle. Now, I don't know how you would put a financial price on some of them artifacts, you know, they're 1,000 years old or whatever, but I'm sure that was a fun one to talk about at the home office afterwards. Real quick, talking about some of the other beers they produce. Cusquena produces a small line of beers. They only have 4 beers in total. They export their beers to the U.S., Mexico, UK, France, Spain, and Japan. Helps being part of the AB InBev distribution chain. The brewery, Cusco Brewery, that produces Cusquena, is one of 6 nationwide that Backus and Johnson own. Like I said, they have a small selection of beer, about 4: the golden lager, a dark lager, a red lager, and a wheat. They're all at around roughly 5% ABV. Not a lot of information on the website. They do give food pairings of all things. They say the dark lager works well with chocolate desserts, red lager with roasted meats, and the wheat with Asian dishes. So with that being said, before we try this particular beer, though, let's check out stats. So today, before we try this beer, like I said, I'm pretty sure this first Peruvian beer we had, I think I've done 1 or 2 Brazilian beers, and that's the only other beers I can think of from South America. I think we might have had a beer from Aruba or the Caribbean, but anyway, let's be honest. No, when you think beer, the beer industry, you don't really think of South America. But today, I thought I'd bring up some stats and kind of show you that it is a growing market. This year, in 2023, they project the South American beer market to be worth $49.2 billion. They project it to grow at roughly 6% a year all the way through the year 2027. Now, to give kind of a comparison, this year in 2023, the Chinese beer market is valued at $125 billion, so about 2.5 times bigger. Again, South America is growing. They don't necessarily have the cultural, history with beer like other places on the planet do. Interesting fact I read when researching this, they claim that by 2027, 54% of all beer consumed in South America will be consumed outside the house, bar, restaurants, nightclubs, whatever. And it really got me to think, well, I wonder what that number is in the U.S. I haven't found it yet. And if you have an idea or a comment, throw them in the comment section, because I find it interesting is that does kind of make a big deal. Where are people consuming the beer? So I definitely got to thinking about that. Last little number, fun little number. In 2023, they project the beer consumers in South America, the average beer consumer, will consume roughly 42 liters of beer in a year. Here in Vegas, we call that a good weekend. With that being said, let's drink a Peruvian lager. All right. Pours nice on whitish kind of copper. Not a little darker than a kind of generic lager, even I would say darker than a golden lager. Pretty simple malt forward nose. Got plenty of bubbles, nice light, not a pure white head, but mostly white head. Let's give her a try. Oh, that's pretty nice. That is almost getting into almost a Vienna lager range. So we see the darkness of the color. It comes out in a slightly more complex malt flavor. There's still a fairly light-bodied beer, really go down easy. But again, it's just, instead of the light biscuity notes on some of these beers, you're getting more into the toast and maybe a darker, maybe a well-toasted piece of toast. Not necessarily toffee or caramel, we're not there yet, but a little darker toasting, on your bread in the morning, that kind of taste to it. But man, what a nice executed beer. If I head down to Peru, I'll probably just ask for a Cusquena. Really kind of hits the wheelhouse. I'm not getting any real hops. I do pick up just a slight funk to it. Not the green bottle funk, but it's kind of a pointing in that direction. We're not going that direction, but we're pointing in that direction. That maybe was the best way to put it. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or beers that you'd like me to try, please leave them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Till next time, bombs up.